I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is a sad clown.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha Packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
Shout out to our sponsors. Major Team Mortgage, Omaha Laser Dentistry, Exclusively Eye Care, Liberty Core Real Estate, Avior Wealth Management, and Apex Men's Clinic. We appreciate their support.
Yo, Gloom listeners, it's the Plague, and today I'm talking about getting your finances as fit as your physique. Our very own F3 Omaha brother Jean-Claude, aka Michael Pfluger at Avior Wealth Management, specializes in building personalized financial plans. He understands the journey you walk in life as a man of faith, safeguarding your family and creating a legacy. Jean-Claude is ready to help you plan your finances with intention so that you can live with purpose. And that's just the beginning when you work with the Avior Wealth team. Visit avior.com/F3. That's AVIOR.com/F3 and see how Michael can guide your financial journey today.
Now let's get back to the gloom.
And we're back. All right. I'm excited for this one. I got, he's ready too. He's got his farm hat on. He's wearing this. Wearing the hander pants in case we need to do any typing here. And man, I'm just always I haven't got to spend a ton of time with our man Skidz in the Gloom, but I've just always admired from afar just his leadership. He's all over my LinkedIn with some of the awards and accolades and ways he leads in the community. And just really love the way you led at the farm. And so Skidz, man, excited to get your story out there, to kind of talk through things with you. And where we kind of like to start off, I know the naming story, but talk us through the e-aging story. And then how did we land on the name Skidz?
Well, we would be more of a question for you and not, but yeah, I'm going to make sure to throw some his way today. I have three boys, and they're all soccer kids, and that kind of originates from my wife being that's her only sport from when she could walk to through college. So that's where we all started the boys in down here. And the middle one happens to be coached by KOA, Pea Soup, Schnapps, and a lot of the kids' dads are in F3 right now. But how it kind of started was Eartag's boy. He's since gone just to like football and baseball, but he was on that team too. And yeah, I'd always like to BS with Eartag. I like to give the Iowa guys like Pea Soup and Eartag a lot of crap, Firewalker, around here. But they'd always be talking, right? Like Schroot's boy played too, like Razzle Dazzle. So like all those guys are always talking. I'm like, what are they always talking? Like, what are they talking about? I want to be in the mix. What's going on over here? And I couldn't fully relate because they're talking about the beatdowns and stuff, and it was still newish then, I guess, and Sarpy. But finally, they'd asked me a few times. I kind of ignored them, and finally, Eartag's wife actually was just laying it on me, like, "Well, you're not man enough to go out to the beatdown? Like, aren't you? You couldn't hack it? Like she's actually the one like." Kind of pissed me off. I was like, well, yeah, I'm sure I can. I'm not going to die. So I got out to the DZ in the summer just 3 years ago, this week now. And so I give the EHT Eartag, but a lot of those guys were kind of talking about it and, respected those guys. Loved that they coached my boy in soccer and did a great job and seemed like cool dudes. So we get there, it's hot. I think it was me. I think Michelin was the other first timer there, I want to say. And you were leading, of course. I hear this. I think every other pod I listened to, Plague was queuing somehow. It seems like, but yeah. So Knobs I'd kind of known a little bit. I don't know how well I knew Knobs then, but we're pretty good friends now. But as I heard afterwards, the name Skidz was kind of already chosen for me, and I didn't do a very good job. I mean, you had us like leapfrogging those giant posts down there. I mean, I was pretty worn out, so I didn't have much glucose in the brain, and I'm sure I'd mumbling stuff again like I always do. So somebody said Delsum, and that name kind of sucks. Skidz is way better, obviously. Yeah. So hopefully nobody's named Delsum. But Skidz was born, and there was a lot of jokes about he's not coming back. Like I never drop an opportunity to give Firewalker crap about things and stuff from Dragon's Lair. We're like, he's never coming back. But I came back. It's been great. yeah, congrats to you and Knobs. Mainly Knobs, probably just got to be Skidz. But the poop emoji is happens to be a good Apple one on the phone,
Yeah.
and yeah, there's a lot of fun we've had with it, and I think everybody else does. So kind of the handy pants that nobody can
Yeah.
see here, some other silly stuff over the last couple of years has been kind of fun. So
How, there's certainly been guys that have come in and gotten names and then they have struggled to like own it, but you got the name Skidz and you just have owned it and it's become sort of this persona. I mean, how, is that just kind of how you're wired? Like you kind of like to have fun and
yeah, I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, and I think a lot of that's from uh, life experiences and lightheartedness and just like I like to have a good time. I think a long time ago, my first year or something, I think I was up at Triton and then Roadhouse was the site Q still, I think, and he said like the fourth F is for fun or something. And it's just always stuck with me, and just appreciate that. Like if I'm gonna get up at 4:30, 5 in the morning, whatever it is, like I want to have a good time also, right? I want to see the guys. I want to see what's going on in their lives. I just like community, and that's like you mentioned in the beginning, like the LinkedIn, whatever, all the social media stuff that in third F I'd call it. I like to do, but it's really for human connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like my job, I travel a lot. I got a lot of crap. I'm sure we'll get into that. Like this, I think I got third place on attendee at the farm in the last year, but my job's also like connecting with people. So that's just really what drives me. So, yeah, it's great.
I love it. And so you mentioned your wife grew up playing soccer. What was your life like growing up from like a sports or like fitness perspective? Have you always kind of been a fit guy?
Yeah, I mean, I was super into kind of everything. I'm an oldest kid, so of course I got put in everything. I grew up in a Wayne America. Oompa and I Oompa's really good
Is
about
the
that.
chicken festival or what's the chicken show?
Chicken
Okay.
show, which was always weird growing up because like at the time I think the third largest egg producing thing in the country was in Wakefield, right to our east. But Wayne had this chicken show. It started an art festival back in probably screwing up 70s, early 80s, and so it's evolved to what it is. 10,000 people coming to town, but yeah, a chicken show. But yeah, Wayne America, 5,000 people, a lot of towns like that in Iowa, Nebraska here, but kind of did everything and really liked, football, baseball, golf. We didn't have stuff like soccer, lacrosse, or any of that, but kind of, basketball was the one sport I wasn't very good at. Offense, putting the ball in the hoop just was never my thing. So I'm really happy my littlest guy is decent at that. But yeah, and then I was really into it until after my freshman year of high school, got diagnosed with cancer. So that's a lot of like some of the other stuff I do. So I had 2 years where really I was like in a no contact sports scenario after I had went through treatment and things. And so until my senior year, I wasn't allowed to do anything but golf. And then by then you're kind of like, oh, I'm looking forward to college. I'm not really in shape to go bang around in football. I haven't been lifting, stuff like that. So, sometimes I feel like some of that was stolen, like the time was stolen. So maybe I'm trying to make it up in F3 and stuff. But yeah, it was just, that's probably also part of the thing. Like, don't like to be in a negative state, like to be in positive state, things like that.
You mind sharing the story from a cancer diagnosis perspective? Talk us through that. What was that like? And how'd you get over that and get to this place where you're, really you just have joy like pouring out of you? I love it.
It was, I probably have a lot of PTSD undiagnosed from that still, but I try to ignore it. But end of freshman year, I had a lump on my neck. Went in and that age that's pretty young for like incidence of Hodgkin's lymphoma of what I eventually got diagnosed with, but tried antibiotics, antivirals, they eventually took it out, and it's very easy to see on a microscope if you're into biology at all. It's called a Reed-Sternberg cell. And so the lab tech, which this is totally illegal, she's best friends with my mom at the hospital, she calls my mom, says, here's what it is as you're coming in, just so you're prepared. Yeah, it's kind of whirlwind summer because lymphoma is like an aggressive growing blood cancer, but it's also easy, I'm air quoting easy to treat if you catch it right at any stage. Really now, survival rates in the 90% these days with a lot of the monoclonal antibodies. I didn't have any of that then, so I got treated with like the 20-year-old regimen of chemo and then radiation therapy until about Christmas. Wow. So stayed in my class and everything. I didn't drop down a class. That's where your buddies are. I grew up since I could walk with, and so they wanted me to because I wasn't in school a lot. But so I went from like first, second in my class to like 14th because German. They didn't like that I was gone. I still mad to this day that I got to see because I wasn't present because I was in a bed getting chemo.
Right.
But maybe I'm holding on to that still too much. But yeah, it was good. I had a lot of good friends though. A lot of my friends kept me in it, right? Like came out and saw me as I'm laying there all summer. But I wasn't really scared of like, I don't think kids mostly are, right? Like fatality, right? It was more I can't go play sports.
Right.
I can't go to the pool. Like I can't be with my buddies. And so I think even after that, like even through college, I was kind of an angry kid somewhat. I wasn't as outgoing. I was pretty shy anyways. And so that kind of just made it even worse once I got to Lincoln. But I also joined a fraternity, and that probably really helped get me back engaged in society and the social network. So farmhouse fraternity, Vandalay, there's some other guys in the group that have been in there. Did a lot of good for me, probably in the social aspects. Still have a lot of buddies there, even though we're kind of spread out. But yeah, it was a interesting journey. Thought I had a scare, some scar tissue or something 5 years later, but I just go in like any of us would once a year, get labs. And that's also why, like with B2C, we did like try to do a men's health series. I don't know if about 5 people looked at it, but if we can get one person to get a mole removed and miss skin cancer, like that's worth it, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
A lot of advocacy for me is driven off that and supporting our PAX members and friends.
Heck yeah. And did all of that experience like propel you into your career, right? Because you're a pharmacist, right? You went the healthcare route.
Yep.
And I mean, is that how you ended up where you are today?
It kind of did in a weird way. It wasn't initially. Like initially I was like, I want to be an engineer. And then I took physics and DiffEQ and was like, nah. And for some reason I started getting into sciences more and was in lab when everybody else was out having fun. And organic chemistry, for some reason, I just really liked it. Probably the nerdiest thing ever, right? But that drove into biochem. And I'm a personality that there's a test a thing we took at work where it's Enneagram, and I'm a 7. So essentially it means you like to try a lot of new things, do a lot of things at once, have a ton of hobbies, but you're not as good at like maintaining something for a long time. And so through the course of trying all these classes, pharmacy seemed like something that could take my schooling, serious enough, but also have a good time. So I came over to UNMC for that and met my wife there. She was 2 years above me in school. And I know we have some pharmacists and pharmacist wives in the F3 group too, which is pretty cool to see. But yeah, I stayed here. She's from Omaha and went to med center too. So stuck around here. But yeah, it's done a lot more after the fact, I'd say. I don't know if it drove me into healthcare then, because I probably was trying to actually avoid that, like not think about it. In my early 20s and stuff, that wasn't a driver, but now it is. So kind of a long way around.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool. And kind of to wrap up this, like the fitness part of your journey, where are you at today? Because man, I feel like I forget what it was. There was some post, and I know Bobsled commented on it, but like it must have been like out at Labyrinth, right? And I don't know if you were flexing in the photo or not, but you were looking jacked, man. So how are you feeling or doing today?
He's a good encourager. Yeah. I don't think of myself as jacked. I'd like to, but I want to work there. No, I was probably my height of F3 fitness, I'd call it. I was doing the pre-run every day. Loved it, right? I was getting into 10Ks. I've never been a runner ever in my life. I don't really feel I have the body for that. Running's hard. I'd rather bike or anything else. But I was really getting into running, and then my knee just started swelling up, and it wouldn't go down for a few days. So long story short, I went in, got an MRI, like everybody our age. He's like, meniscus, you could do surgery, you could not. It's kind of up to you. But I was having so many swelling issues. I was like, well, I can't go and do it. It didn't hurt that much. So they cleaned it up and did PT, all that stuff, and was kind of getting back into it. But I have like another thing that happened on like the outside of the knee where it's like impinging. I don't really understand it. So I can get through a couple miles, but I think running at 7.5, like it's kind of out of my wheelhouse now. So I can get through a Murph and do a couple miles, but it'll be sore the next day to the point like I won't want to post. I want to go lift. So I've been, again, to my personality of doing a bunch of things. I've been lifting with down at Papillion Landing, Borat sometimes. I'll go biking with Ferd. I like to do kind of the flavor of the thing. And I think it's going to help me in the long run, not re-injured to the point I need to have something done. So there's also some things like I'm wary of with like the treatments I had that I need to be healthy, but I also don't want to overdo it with certain things going on in my body. So overall, it's F3 is great though. Like the multidimensional parts of it, it's just I'll probably be like a 2 to 3 guy a week, and that's okay. But I was just so into it. It was when you're really into it. We have tons of Sarpy swagger that is crazy posters, and I miss part of that, but it's just kind of my reality. So.
Yeah. Well, and you were pretty instrumental though. I feel like you helped to lead the first like kayak pop up too. So realizing like, hey, there's some other stuff we could do that, is open to more guys.
I'm like if you think of it, try it. I kind of think there's dumb ideas, but like why not? So Amadeus is also shout out to him for kayaks. Right away he was like, yeah, let's throw it together. He's always a big vocal proponent. Oompa loves that stuff. A bunch of guys. So it's like you see Fury Road launching. Yeah. It's cool. We were trying to do that down here on WhatsApp with Eagle's Nest, but we never got that going. But it's kayak's awesome. The community's pretty good here with access. So it's just finding the day. Now we have so many sites, you almost feel, or at least I feel bad if it's like a flag pass, a VQ. You don't want to like put it on that day, but we have so many guys now. We probably just need to get over that and go for it. But it's fun, man. It's a good time.
I love it. Well, I want to get your thoughts too. As you came into the group, you knew a lot of the guys, right? It sounds like from the soccer kind of dad group. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something interesting, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more what you mean by this, but you mentioned just like human connection, right? Being sort of a passion of yours. Maybe describe that for us and how you've gone about building some close relationships.
Yeah. I mean, I like the themes you hear all through the pods, right? Like I came for the fitness, I stayed for the fellowship, and the community service or faith part. So for me, it's, I haven't found that level of like connection in a group that size anywhere else. And so to me, that's pretty unique. We'll maybe get into the third F later, but like I haven't never found that in church yet. Mm-hmm. That kind of close knit, share everything, not be judged, openness and transparency in other groups. And so, it's just, you go home, you just feel amazing, right? And then you try to, I get told I'm a little too overexcited when I get home and happy and like just bubbling around and like, yeah, we all just woke up. Yeah, I know you had a great time at F3. My wife likes to give me shit sometimes. I know she secretly loves it. But it's hard not to have a good time. And even when you're working hard. And so just getting a workout out of the way, seeing guys, having a cup of coffee, seeing what's going on in their lives. Like, I don't know. You can't start your way any better, so your day any better. But yeah, I don't know how else to say it. That's just pretty straightforward to me.
I love it. Talk me through like shield lock and that sort of stuff. Was that a pretty early formation for you, or?
I get told I have like 4 shield locks. I don't know. I have one of I'll give Escobar credit for that one of Escobar's doing. It's kind of like Escobar's crew back from Miller's South, like Mulch and I from over here, and we all like hang out and kind of have a lot of similarities. And Escobar and I work together, so we probably see each other too much, but hopefully we don't get on each other's nerves too much. But I have other random groups. I kind of had like a farm crew, especially when we got Tony and Sundance coming in there with Ferd and Shrewd, and then I have a chat group of like KOA, your tag, like random guys. I talk to Knobs and JC about like we love a certain segment of stuff, whether it's clothes or bourbon or what have you, and we live really close. So I kind of have all these different little circles of guys, guys I wish I'd see more, like my cousin, Light Bright, we're cousins. I don't know if everybody knew
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Not real cousins. We're Vikings.
Oh, okay.
Cousins, like to say. I forget the relationship, but essentially his cousin married my cousin, so essentially we're brothers.
Okay, yeah, basically.
I wish I saw Oompa more. We got like a Wayne thing, but yeah, man, I'd say kind of like a couple larger groups, but I love that. I never like being pigeonholed. It's like my wife and I were like, we have a lot of friends that are couples, but we don't have like the couple friend you do everything with. I think it bothers me, but I actually enjoy it. Like a lot of options, a lot of great people. I want to visit every national park in the world. Never going to happen, right? But like, I love the variability of life, and that also parlays probably into like shield locks.
That's cool. I love it. I think it's, there is something about that where it's like there's nothing that says you can't have more than one close group of buddies within the group, right? Because you're going to have similar things with one group of guys than you do with the other. And, so I love that approach. The other thing we're starting to see is these shield locks that are like 15, 20 guys. And it's like, at some point it might get too big, but we'll see.
That makes sense.
You never know how it goes. What, as you think about, one of the cool things I feel like you and Escobar and OT did was this between two coupons thing. And I feel like there's some, like that helps to connect guys too on another level. Curious, like talk us through like the origin and kind of how that all started.
Yeah, I heard Esky mention that. It's and then when we found out there was a pod, because of course this was before we were brand new. It was like a month in. I don't know where we were like we're scheming, right? Like we always do, and like, oh, we should do a YouTube channel. Oh man, guys would love that. We should get everybody together and talk. And it was just around topics. And originally it was supposed to be like, I'm sure it's still on the Twitter, and we need to flag pass that sucker and get some new blood going, because we travel too much. Honestly, it's just hard. But it was just around like topics, right? Like, hey, we should interview guys that are doing their VQ so everybody gets to know them. And F3 was half the size then, so maybe it made more sense. But let's do. I mean, one of our favorite ones was the winter gear. We had like a very dynamic group of people in the room, and all interesting. You had like a hard hat, you had like a JC, like Animal House might have been there. Like you had this really random group of guys that it was really fun. And again, fun. Like it's just finding the time. And then OT was like, he's got this crazy voice and had this hilarious idea for an opener. So I don't know, we just kind of threw it together and bothered our wives and took over our dining room tables for about a year. And then we kind of tried to embrace the virtual thing like you guys do. So, but yeah, I think we tried to do a couple, and then we're like, oh, there's a pod. Oh no, are those guys like, we're trying to be different or supplement all the fun. But yeah, it was good. And then we tried to take that platform and be like, well, how can we do things that maybe guys don't know they need. And we're both pretty passionate about like men's health. I'm very passionate about cancer screenings, just for a myriad of reasons. And so thought we'd throw some of those on there, and we try to give everybody a great dermatologist to go to. So guys, you got, get some good options. We got a dentist that's post Saturdays at F3 that, T-Bone down there amongst all our other dentists. Right. And he's like, yeah, I'll come on your video. So try to involve the packs, maybe get some people that you didn't know as much, but also just learn something. So, but it's so hard to get, 8 people together our age with children and everything that I'm not surprised we lost momentum after a year of that. So, but.
Well, I loved it. And I still think there's a need, if we got some guys that are willing to take it on, because honestly, like we're just trying to do the site queues, and now we have so many sites that we're like, if we do one a week, I got a year and a half worth of content. But I loved you guys did a really cool episode, kind of honoring our veterans. Like that, I mean, you could do so much in that space. And then I really liked the men's health, I think was huge. Like, because a lot of the men's health stuff you hear is like Dr. Ada, right, is talking about men's health, but then you sort of have to like, well, who do I connect with locally, right? But you brought that local flavor. And then I still see the winter gear one getting sent out every winter. So it's like, it's still valuable, so I think there's a huge need for that still. So hopefully we get.
Yeah, and when you have guys, like P Soup and Sven that helped us with that episode, and you just call them up and they'll help you out and they'll tell you how it is, and you don't need to go to the fly by night men's clinic and just have everybody tell you need your low T. I'm sure everybody isn't walking those doors, but like these guys will actually give you a blood panel and tell you some other things maybe you should do. So we this is a call out to anyone in F3 Omaha that would love to. Let's air quote flag pass that from Escobar and I and OT over to themselves, because we'd love some. If you're a new guy or just like you like to be funny or like love to have some informs, like take it on. We'll give you the login and go to town. So
I love too the reference, right, to the between two ferns, right, between two coupons. Like it was fun. It was awesome.
It worked. I don't even remember who came up with that, but yeah, it was just we laughed at it and we're like, I think other people would laugh at this. So a little bit of humor, but a little like trying to also be serious.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm curious too, as you think about like other relationships, and you mentioned your M and your 2.0. So you got 3 boys, right? Mm-hmm. What's life like with 3 boys?
3 boys. It's fun. Actually, I kind of wanted to have more kids, but also, it's one of those 50, like, and my wife goes, I don't know, if I had another boy, I think I'd just have to leave. It was, I don't know. At that point, she's the youngest of 4 kids, and all she had was nieces, like 6 nieces or something. So she's kind of used to that. But it's fun. We got one that's going to be a sophomore, one that's going to be 8th grade, and one that's going to be a 4th grade. So every school down here in the Papio South community, and they're all in various activities or starting to work, starting to drive.
That's crazy.
But it's fun, man. It's fun getting to meet parents of them, activities, but yeah, rather have it be busy than
yeah. So. And have you brought them out to F3? Have they posted a 2.0 workout or anything?
They all have names. My oldest is 4. He's been coming to the farm with me off and on a little more. I'm really trying to get him to embrace fitness. Yeah. He's a big kid. He's gonna be a lot bigger than me. But it's just not like his jam. But I'm trying to get him into it more. So you'll see him at the farm more. But we'll see. He's got an outdoor landscaping job, so of course that makes it a little more rough to tell him to go work out before that. My middle one is it's a soccer player meme where Scott Sterling, the goalkeeper that keep getting pounded in the face. I'm pretty sure his coaches maybe named him that. And then Pythagoras was our youngest, and they went to a beatdown where like they all got named. They didn't like, it wasn't like I'm going to pick Raphael. He's my favorite turtle, right? Like, so when they come out, they kind of know what F3 is. I think they think it's like dad's fun thing. I think Landon gets it a little more because he's kind of getting into that adult realm, I guess, almost, which is scary. But I think they think it's pretty cool, and they've done community service stuff with me forever, so it's kind of just part of the family.
Yeah. Do you feel like, has there been any impacts that F3 has had on your relationship, maybe with your M or your 2.0s, anything in that space?
Well, we've always been kind of, fitness is a part of life, like at least my M and I, like, whether that goes off and on, she's a lot more consistent than I am. It's just like her every day, whereas I can kind of go in spurts. But that's always been one. And our kids are really, honestly, all of them until maybe the oldest a couple of years ago, were all in like very athletic sports, whether that's basketball, soccer. The youngest wants to do football now. So like stuff that's, not maybe things that are more low athletic intensity, but it's, so that's been important. But, I bring up sometimes, hey, you want to go on Saturday or not? A lot of times, again, I travel probably too much. And then when I'm not traveling, like in the summers, we honestly get out of town with the family, like go out to the mountains, try to see new things. I think my wife perpetually has 0 PTO, but it's good for them. And we love being outdoors, but yeah, they know about it, but I don't bring them out all the time. It's probably something I'll work on a little more as they get older. But I kind of like them to be old enough to do the workout, not young enough where they just kill us all, but don't lift the coupon. But get something out of it physically, and also kind of understand the community part. So slowly see them out more.
Yeah, I love it. And I think there's a balance, right? And when kids are young, right, they're like, I don't know. Is your oldest working for Mulch, or you found a different competitor?
He is. He's working right now. He just dropped a check off actually right before he started from this week with EA, Escobar's kid in Mulch. So I don't think it's too bad. Like 3 days a week. His first idea was Culver's, and I was like, that seems like probably not the best idea. So let's go with this. And also, it's kind of like I want you to aspire to jobs, but I also want you to know like what this work is like and what that work's like, so you can make a better evaluation when you're older and maybe have a bunch of experiences once you're through college and work and understand kind of what those are, so that where you're headed as an adult. So trying to expose him to multiple things, probably every year, hopefully he tries something different.
That's cool. Yeah, I worked at a tree nursery for a year. When I was a staff nurse, I worked 312s, and then my days off, I worked at a Heritage nursery out here. And that's hard work. So it'll be good for him, especially in the summertime. I want to get your thoughts too, so Fitness Fellowship Faith, right? That third F piece you kind of mentioned a little bit, and would love to just hear your journey. What's it been like for you? What have been maybe some of the things that have helped you grow in the third F space?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see third F was multiple things here, right? You got faith means multiple things to me. I think, there's one pod I go back to a lot and love their guy anyway, retweets, where he talked about like, well, for me, and multiple people have said this since I kind of started thinking about it, like F3 is kind of like my church. Again, like I've been members of multiple churches. I grew up Missouri Synod Lutheran. Props to the Lutherans. I know I hear that from Youth Flag. It was good. I mean, we were there every Friday. Dad's an elder. You know, like he grew up in a very, you know, he went to parochial school, so that was going to be our upbringing, and it was fine. You know, I got confirmed. You know, I know this. You know, we're like Catholics with two sacraments, right? Like or whatever you want to say. So it's very serious. It's very, but it's only on Sundays, you know. So I think there's been multiple things where kind of fallen away from it a little bit. I never found like a super tight community there. I have friends that still go there. I like my church. I love my pastor, a beautiful Savior here in La Vista. Nice. And I know there's multiple guys that go there. I just probably don't run into them. I know some are at early, some are at late. We kind of go to middle, but I just never have found that, like that crew, like I found at work friends, F3, you know, neighborhood. So that I would be that comfortable sharing with. And I think other people have said it, like, I think you build up, like as a kid, like church as an institution, if you get brought up like we did, as this, you know, 100% right all the time, never screw up, like, you know, statue. And then when you start seeing it be pulled apart or people screw up as humans or all fallible, you're like, oh, and it kind of pushed me away a little bit. It's like, oh, well, that pastor did that. Like, the whole church got to be a thing. So, I think we froze for a second.
You're good.
Back? All right. When that kind of happens, it kind of pushed me away a little bit, and I didn't take it probably seriously. So we're kind of in the middle of re-engaging. And the other thing, man, it drives me nuts here in a big town, sports. Yeah. If your kids are super active, and maybe it's the sports we play, but every Sunday morning there's a game. It shouldn't be an excuse, but unlike my Catholic buddies, like I don't have, I would say, as many worship options. You know, maybe Saturday night, that'd be cool, but like there's more excuses on my end, but we're kind of re-engaging there. But when Retreat said like having faith in others is kind of like a faith builder, or that's like a big authenticity piece with me. And I think he said something like, maybe there's people I wouldn't give a second chance to, you know, without F3, like if I would have met you on the street. And I like listening to his pod on there. But we were just we were in church the other day. Pastor Ryan, this guy's awesome. He stops us, like gets in front of us on the way out. We're just on our way out, you know, like, oh, said hi to a couple of people, very superficial. He stops. He's like, I know you guys. And like, we haven't been there for 6 months. Like, again, like trying to re-engage. He's like, I know you guys, but I can't remember your name. Like, you know, that meant a lot. Yeah. So I sent him a text or a messenger or something. I'm like, hey man, that was really cool. So I'm trying to see, I need to do a better job probably seeking out community in church. Yeah. Otherwise you're just going through the motions, and you know that I never like doing that in anything in life. But I want my kids to be exposed, so they're all getting confirmed and everything. But I also want them to know, like, it's not the end all be all for like that part of your life. Yeah. You don't have to be a Lutheran. I know sometimes people are like, I have to be Catholic or my parents disown me. You know, like, I want you to know about it. I want you to be educated, but I want you to be able to make a choice and not feel obligated if you don't think that's the right place to have a faith journey. So, still working to get back on the communal side. But the other thing, like you highlighted for me, is just community involvement, like giving back to your fellow man, giving back to those in need. I mean, every time I get like I get lost on a Facebook reel, I'm like, man, this thing is addictive. Like sometimes you actually come up with good stuff, right? That I want to share out. But so that's the part of me, like with Leukemia Lymphoma Society is a big part of me right now. I'm on the board for like our region. And so giving back there, F3 has been so amazing. Like F3 is a great petri dish to try things and to also like amplify voice, like a lot of guys are able to. And so I tell anybody, take advantage of that. Throw your ideas out there for fundraising. Let guys know what you're doing. It's obviously all optional, and we have so many PAX members with so many passions. It's awesome to see, but it's also like, I don't want to let any of my buddies down because I got 80 buddies, right? Like, how do I support everybody? But that's been really fun with LLS. And then we've done like poker tournaments. Guys have been incredibly giving, but like also like supporting our PAX. I know there's a lot of guys down right now with either themselves or family members with diagnoses, but like, Pit Stop and our one of Skidz Shield Dogs, Pit Stop's a good buddy, and like, Project Pink. Yeah. We started partnering with that local organization. They do amazing things locally. And I really like the ones that give locally, like where you can really visibly see the impact to the community, and that's what we all live in. So yeah, multiple other like professional organizations I like to be in. I don't know if it's my drive from human contact. There's more of that with other people, or if it's both, that just the give back part, since, a lot of us been blessed, and why not? So yeah, man, I don't know. It's a big animal, but those are kind of two avenues I see.
I love it. How long have you been at Beautiful Savior? Because we used to go there.
I mean, pretty much since 2007 or 8.
Okay, so I bet we crossed paths there. We used to go there, and then kind of throughout the pandemic, then we moved over. We're at St. Mark now on 90th and Blondo, but
we got married at Christ Community. Okay. Leah's parents still go there, and it was just an easy like a lot of seats, like easy thing. We didn't have a formal church yet. We kind of went to the one, and I'm blanking on the name, that's up on. We lived at 150th and Maple for our first 7 years of marriage, and there's one on like North 144th, I want to say, or 132nd up there past Standing Bear. I'm blanking on the name, but went up there for a while. But yeah, we probably, they were still adding that addition on Beautiful Savior when we joined, and yeah, great church. I love like the kind of modern, whatever you want to call it, not old conservative feel. I kind of like that middle ground. So we go to that middle, like 9:30 is church. I know. I think Farva told me he goes to 8 o'clock, and I heard the liturgies a lot, but I want some new music, so, except at the hall.
What's funny is when I started F3, going to church at Beautiful Savior, that was what spurred my, like, this idea to launch the pit in Sarpy. Was like, maybe we can get some guys from my church to go. Cause I was trying to EH all these guys from Beautiful Savior. And the response was always like, those are all too far away. So that
that's true.
So it was kind of so anyway, that's awesome.
Maybe through this, I'll find out like 10 more guys go to Beautiful Savior. We just never talked about it.
Yeah, that's right. I think Stella goes there, who's more of like a District 66 guy. Yeah. Are you or someone you know in the market to buy a new home? Well, if so, check out Major Team Mortgage at Exarban Mortgage. They specialize in home purchase and refinance home loans. Their mission is to purposely empower people to experience their good life through building wealth with real estate. Showing up in the gloom is no different than showing up for a conversation around your future of building wealth with real estate. Join the action economy and get in the game with Sasquatch. Text or call John at 402-212-0149 to schedule a time today. NMLS number 1393750, equal housing lender. When I hear you tell this story, I just love your perspective. I love how you've connected faith to then some action to serve others, and just kind of curious, like, I get two things. Just curious, like, as you think about a cancer diagnosis and like guys getting that right, either themselves or for their loved ones, any like curious if you have advice, like how do we process that sort of news? Like, have you come across anything in your journey, or as you process that message on your own? Like, is there a helpful track to go on, or is it just each individual, or what do you think?
Oh, it's tough because I know free to lead, and to be right with the rest of your life, you first got to be right, right? And if you yourself get diagnosed, that's the mental battle. I mean, it's obviously a physical battle, but emotionally and mentally, you can really spiral really bad, dark places. And I mean, there's been 2 times since I got through everything where I just got in 6 months where I was just like, where it's not that I don't spend time with my kids, but every time I would come home, I wouldn't do a single hobby or interest of mine. I would just lay on the floor and play with my kids when they were babies, because I thought this was happening, or a second thing, like kind of a health hypochondriac and hyperutilizer of health services if I think something's wrong now, just because of what I went through. But it's hopefully what we all do, like, helps with the mental toughness and the surrounding of your community, and lean on guys. Like, I think the worst thing to do is what I did as a kid, but it's really hard for me to relate to like an adult having a diagnosis, because it's so different as a 15-year-old. But like, relying on your community, to asking for help is like, it's really hard to do that for a lot of guys, but like, you just got to be okay with it, and just start with your shield lock, start with like the 2 guys in F3, whatever, and go from there. I mean, you see all the meal trains, fundraisers, like, how can I help? I mean, people are going to help. They got to know, though. Right. They got to know what's going on. And I think F3 helps a lot of guys be transparent, and and share more of their life. And so that's great when you do get hit with something with your M, your 3.0s, 2.0s, but I have 3 of them. But yeah, it's I don't have like sage words of advice. I'm never like a great guy with words, but I think honestly it's you got to lean on your community, and that's what it's there for. And that's I think you see it all time and time again. So they got to know, like, I don't know what's going on with everybody unless I get told by someone to read about it. I think that's hard for guys a lot to not take care of themselves.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's great advice, because I think isolating, right, in a time like that is the last thing we want you to do. And like you said, though, we don't know who needs help or how we can help unless they communicate. So I think that's great advice.
100%.
As a healthcare provider too, or I'm sure it's like the more you know, right? It's like you create that sort of like, I've seen this diagnosis before, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because pharmacists are kind of ones that get exposed to a ton of things. I feel like maybe nurses are in that bucket too. So we probably don't get the as much training, or there's a psyche thing with physicians where maybe they just know the percent so much that they realize that maybe that's not what's going on with you. Whereas I feel like a lot of other professions, or like the allied health or whatever you want to call all this, mid-levels is a bad term, but a lot of other ones, it's like we know enough to be dangerous. Yeah. And if you let your mind run with the worst case scenario, which that's my mind, you can get in a bad spot. So most of the time, that's not what's going to happen. You need to really wait till you actually know, and then kind of figure out a plan. So yeah, I feel you though. That's a lot of us.
I worked on a neuro floor as a nurse. And so I went through several years where anytime my wife had a headache, I was like just fully screening her for stroke and thinking, making sure she didn't have any facial droop or any of that sort of stuff. But what, I think the other piece from a third F perspective that you, I think, do so naturally, and I don't know where, I would be curious if you have thoughts on where this comes from, but how do you connect the dots from sort of desire to action? Like I get this itch, I see a post, I want to help, but then how do you put that into action that's effective? Like what have you learned in that space?
I'm trying to think of examples here. It kind of goes back to like no fear of failure kind of thing. Actually like the trying things, this I never have to have something like 100% right to go with it. In work, personally, once in a great while that backfires on you, but like a physician, obviously, like a surgeon probably can't work that way, but like most of the, and I'm not talking like dosing a drug as a pharmacist, but like the things that move into action, again, like there's a lot of great ideas I think people just don't act on. Whether that's, we all have business ideas. We're like, oh, there's a risk, having that like evaluation and balance the risk with like, again, what's the worst thing that could happen? Oh, this could fail. I could be out $5,000, but I could have made this awesome business, or I could have given up a weekend to help somebody and this could have been the outcome, or I could have sat at home and watched a football game. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of lost in answering this one, Plague, but like it's kind of a gut feeling. I don't know. It's Escobar tells me at work sometimes, he's like, you just kind of use your gut. I'm like, like if it's the right thing to do, if I saw it on the headline of a paper, whenever I heard that, like, and my grandma would be okay reading it, well, then I'm definitely going with it. If it's a gray space, maybe I'll pulse check that off others. I always like to ask people, what do you think? To check myself. I know some people don't always like to do that, but I don't know. It's a good question. I try a lot of things socially in the community.
Well, you're maybe a little more risk averse, right? And I don't know if that comes from like you have a second lease on life from getting through cancer, or I don't know.
Apparently my personality, I avoid hurt or pain feelings. I read that in a book, right? So I don't know. I guess that's true. That's why I try to have a good time whenever that's an option. Within reason. I am very risk averse.
Yeah, well, and I think what I think is so great is like, of all the places to try things, like F3 is perfect for that, right? And sometimes I wish we would do a little more of that when we're launching new sites, right? Like it's kind of like why not fail, right? Like no site has ever failed. Maybe one site, potentially with the original horse track that was a Thursday evening site. But like, I don't know, like we could try more things, and if we fail, like let's fail forward, right? As a group. But,
Look, just take what people are trying to work out and
yeah.
amplify it. I mean, I was thinking before this pod of like, I was just laughing at myself at some of the workouts, and there's guys that have gone a million more than me, but like Ponzi had a workout at Cornhusker Handicap where he obviously didn't plan anything, or maybe he did, and that's even funnier. I don't know who was there. I hope somebody was listening, but it was the goofiest thing ever. He just gets there. He's like, all right, we're going to play tag, like around the swing. And then once that had run its course, we like ran down to the bridge and just ran over the bridge for a while, and that was
Right.
it. Or like, I was just thinking of like the most fun workouts, the hardest, like most creative, like Oompa's Christmas thing at Spike he did one year. You like show up and it's like a lit up thing with a Christmas tree and he's Santa and so I mean I love I love when they're super creative like that or funny things happen, and there's just been so many of those times thinking back with guys where just the memories we can make here where people have tried things that maybe are a little different than like with the Exicon Lexicon stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's a good segue kind of into the leadership piece, and so we're trying to reinvigorate male community leadership, and right, so you got VQs and the site Q role, and you've led some third F things, but talk through us. Do you remember your VQ? What was that like? How'd that go? Any learnings?
I think I was putting it off for a while. I don't know why, because Escobar's I'm kind of the idea crazy guy, and Escobar's like the very detailed, I'm going to make a plan and write it down guy. This happens at work too. And he had already VQ'd, I'm sure. And anyway, we picked DZ. We want to do like top, danger zone. We're going to embrace danger zone. We bought these flight suits that are way too big, like about falling off of us. There's like a thunderstorm in the background. I think it was like July, or no, it was probably later than that, August. It was hot out still. But yeah, we cooked up a workout. It was a co-Q, but we made it very Top Gunny and stuff. And I love how other things have happened there, like Roadhouse in his jeans and white shirt, like just silly stuff. Again, fun. I embrace fun, but yeah, it was the VQ was there. It was a good time. Again, just had a bunch of guys. We and we're marketers. I'm still embracing the whole Farmer Bro thing, but Escobar is very good at this. But I do love the Twitter. I do love the social. So I think we tweeted like 40 times about that. And who was not lucky? Gobbler Site Q then, and I still remember his tweet. He's like, well, if Twitter's any indication, Twitter at the time, this is going to be an interesting beatdown, because we blasted like 50 tweets, like just being ridiculous. So, it was a good time. DZ though.
What do you think from a leadership perspective? Any gains from the VQ, or did you learn anything from that, or what was your kind of takeaway?
I might not be good at it, but I really don't mind public speaking or talking in front of people. I might lose my train of thought and mumble a bunch, but like it doesn't really make me. Yeah, I probably didn't sleep much the night before, but it was probably me like not missing my alarm or not bringing a sandbag or a sheet to read off of. That's more like the nervousness. I love being in front of people, so that's not a part. But it's so that part was kind of like just natural, I guess, because I've always done public speaking in my life. But it is different, especially if you have a COT that really means a lot to you. If it's not just one where you're giving everybody a quote, or it's just one of those days where you didn't have time, or you just don't have someone in your mind that's super poignant. So I've only had a couple of those, but like those are, I love when guys have those. And I'm trying to think of some of those COTs where I've been like Knobs talking about his dad and his service, or Low Flow and his sister, ICB and his daughter when we did like the Paisley campaign, Shroot, his sister. So like some of those COTs, like you really hear guys' stories and their heart poured out. Man, there's nothing like it here. I know that's kind of deviating from your VQ thing, but like a lot of those COTs, and I don't even remember my VQ one, but sometimes I like to avoid the super deep stuff. Again, avoid pain, but maybe one of these days I'll really get into it. But a few times I have, and you do remember those times, and who was there, and who talked to you afterwards, or who sent that text. Like all that encouragement means a lot, and I know there's a lot of guys who do a really good job in that. Like I swear, like every time like fast pitch, slow pitch and khakis come down here, you're getting a tweet if you led that day or something. So, or a text. So, Tater, like all you guys that come around really do a good job of that, of keeping all of the sectors kind of tied in to some of the leadership. So, yeah, but VQs, man, just anybody looking at it, just go for it. It's honestly, lean on guys. I've had people text me like, hey, I don't pray a lot. Like, what about the prayer? I'm like, hey, ask the site Q to do it that day. Ask the guy that EH'd you to do it. Take that off your plate. Well, do a Murph. Get into it that way where you don't really have to plan it out, but you're kind of like rah-rahing the guys. So, yeah, the VQ stuff. At least you can take any other forms here. Lead a kayak pop. Come on. Hit up Skidz. So.
For sure. Well, hey, I'm curious. You mentioned COTs, and I know you like to embrace the fun, but anything you would be willing to share on a deeper level, sort of that maybe the deeper side of Skidz. What is that sort of battle for you? Is it mental battle? Is it the leukemia or lymphoma stuff, or what, or anything you'd be willing to share? If not, that's totally fine too. But
no, it's like I don't think I have a ton around that I think of day to day because I don't dwell on things.
Yeah, that's great.
Because I actively avoid that because it would lead to me spiraling, because it's not like I have like an OCD mind at all. I don't really get addicted to hobbies, but like I'll think too much on something, and like the worst outcome, right? Like, so, example, if it does happen, I'm going to let people know because I just like to tell people because I feel like it selfishly helps me, and then people are like theorize solutions with me or talk through it. But there's been a couple times where like a doctor thought this and I had to go get it confirmed, but in the middle ground, like most depressed kid ever, like it's over, and life's going to be over for all of us. And I think I'm getting better at accepting that as I get older. But if I have a shockingly, diagnosis or something like that, I think it'll probably hit me pretty hard and I'll spiral into something. But, in the meantime, like I'm just trying to keep fortifying like that mental wall, and that's through a lot of the F3 guys. But honestly, it's just like pray for good health, man. Like that's the one thing. If you got it, that's worth more than anything. Yeah. So,
almost like more in a space, like anxiety, would you say at times, like kind of self-induced or worry, or?
I've been in spots like that, but I think I'm so dang busy right now. As long as I keep my mind busy and off that, it's not a problem for me. Honestly, I read a lot of books, my kids' stuff, travel a lot. Like as long as I'm doing something, I think the worst thing for Skidz would be like probably a lot of us, but like if you got in jail and you're in a cell and you can't, there's nothing. Right. That would honestly like that. I can't think of anything worse than like staring at cement all day. Like I can't believe we do that to people. But so as long as I have a lot going on, I think I'm in a really good space. But yeah, if you suddenly see Skidz disappear, like go hit your man up and be like, bro, I haven't seen you for 4 weeks. Like you haven't been on Twitter. Like no, you haven't been putting a stupid emoji that nobody liked on Sarpy chat. Like come on. Then there's probably something going on. If I go silent, that's a bad sign. But no, pretty good right now, honestly, man. Like again, like as long as I'm out moving and healthy and family's healthy, like I look to help others. And if I go inwards and there's something going on here, I'll ask for help. But good health for anybody, honestly. Like again, it's our best currency.
Well, I love the just self-awareness there too, right? I think is awesome. You've definitely done some work in that space, I can tell. I'm curious too, and we kind of took a little turn there, but want to get your thoughts on the site Q role. You obviously led the farm, and that's a really special site, I think, for our region and specifically in Sarpy. What was your experience like being able to lead that site?
It was an interesting journey because I think like in a lot of organizations there's a progression, and sometimes I don't agree with that. Like you need to do this before you can do this before you can do this, and I'm like, what? I like to challenge things a lot. And I think Oompa jumped on the site Q thing pretty early at Spike, and I was talking to him like, I don't have to be a site Q. Why? Yeah. Why do you have to do that? Like, why can't I be a first F guy? Just kind of being an ornery little jerk and talking back like I probably always have my whole life, but a little to my friend. It's not terrible, but he's like, you just need to quit being a bitch and step up. And there've been a couple like approaches, but I was just kind of like, I travel a lot. I had a lot of excuses. I want to lead from behind. Like I don't need to be leading a site, but I think actually it's probably Oompa. He's like, he like told me to quit being a little baby about it. I'm like, fine, I'll embrace the whole algorithm. And anyway, I know I had my eye on like a Monday or Friday site, and I think the farm was coming up, and I love Ferd. Like he's I don't want to say we're similar, so nobody say
Yeah.
that, but we both like kind of energy balls at some level, kind of goofy dorks, and I always liked that about him, and like how he started that. And Shrewd, I just always thought he's like jacked,
Yeah.
like unselfish, like super great dude, like quiet leader, like and I was like, oh, it'd be great if I could try to follow those two. And I just reached out to Shrewd. I was like, hey man, like you got something lined up yet? I think I'm ready for this. If I'd love to do it. And I was in farmhouse fraternity. I grew up on a farm. Like this just makes sense, you know. Bring me back to my roots. So yeah, he still hadn't got anybody yet. So that's how that happened. And then we had a good time. I love doing it, man. I think my two promises were we're gonna ruck. We'll have a pre-ruck, and I'll bring ice for coffee because that freaking Black Sheep coffee is amazing. But it's also, I don't know how she gets it so hot, but nobody can drink it. We're sitting there for 20 minutes, nobody drink it and take it home. I'm like, well, this isn't working, and I really can't drink hot coffee. So yeah, that's been two. And then Rampage started. A lot of our ruck guys go there. You know, like Shingles is a big ruck guy and some others. So I was nobody was really rucking anywhere at the farm. So I kind of lost on that promise, but it was a good time. And then my job changed like 2 months after I took the flag to one where I honestly, every other week, I'm probably flying somewhere for 3 or 4 days. Now, I don't want to claim I'm to swipe or a sweet roll level. There's something with the S's. It's somewhere site Q. We started a hashtag. I don't know if you guys seen that. Those sweet roll is currently outdoing my legacy there, and I think I might have beat Swiper. But yeah, I missed. I think I was at the farm 31 of the 52 weeks.
That's pretty good.
30. It might have been up a little higher than that, but like I think Nene and A, they're always there. Like shout out to those guys, like beat me. But third place, not too bad. But yeah, it did suck. I mean, there was a couple where I was gone like 3 in a row, like maybe 4 one time, and I was just like felt terrible. Like you feel bad, and that might have led to part of my like little mental thing of unless I got somebody that's going to be there every Friday when I'm looking, like why not a co-queue? And I know that's new for Sarpy, and unfairly or fairly to JC had just rolled off the first half, and I was like, I know how particular he is, and I told him you're just gonna have to deal with that. I like to rub him a little, like give him a little crap sometimes, buddy. But you know, Shrewd and KOA were like, it'll work, you know. And Tony the Tiger, I think I started asking him the first week when I was on it. I'm like, why haven't you live here? Like, why haven't you been a site queue? And Sundance was posting a lot, and I think it just kind of works with those two guys because like. Tony's like me. He's been around a while. He's like, what if I only post twice a week? Like usually site queues, like, you know, like our guys that have been in like 6 months, a year, they're out 5 times a week. And, you know, Sundance is kind of in that mold, but they both have things where like Tony's like, maybe I'm not as visible. And then Sundance is like, I coach, you know, and I think it'll be great there. And maybe some of that was mine feeling bad about missing so many of them. Like, I don't want that to, I want that to be a thing, but definitely the best coffee in F3 Omaha. So,
well, and I'm always excited for the shovel pass at the farm because of all of the different activities, right? And we get to see Tater attempt the rope climb, and which I think
he made it this time. He made it this time. Yeah, I saw it. I think I took video or a picture. I was very proud of him. It was fun giving him crap a couple times that year. You know, these D1 athletes, they just can't climb those ropes. But no, I'm glad nobody fell off that actually. But yeah, again, ideas. You know, I was like, we got to blow this thing up, and I think we had 8 stations that first year. Tony and Sundance calmed it down a little bit. It's probably the right thing. But yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, I like to do big parties and celebrations, man. Like what brings people out? What gives people a reason to be happy and celebrate? It's like, it's a good time.
You know, I love that, and I think your idea to have the co-queue, I think we've noticed just across the region, a lot of our guys are getting to this point where either work or kids or whatever is like week to week is your schedule's different, and so having the co-queue just takes that pressure off to where you're like, okay, we're not asking you to choose between your family and F3 or between work and F3. So I think that'll work really well. I'm curious your thoughts as you think about just the site queues or maybe just guys in F3 in your experience, any like advice or, you know, sort of encouragement you would provide to guys that are maybe trying to figure it all out? Like anything you would share in that space?
You don't have to figure it out, you know? I'd say like again, it's probably my mentality where like I don't need everything to be right to try something or put yourself out there. Once I've decided to do it, I might drag my feet a little bit sometimes, like Info was giving me crap about. But people are so supportive, man. The CoQ, I do think we have a lot of people now.
Mm-hmm.
Like we do have a lot of sites. I mean, I can't keep up anymore, but it's we have so many guys now. I just feel like by not allowing or like embracing the CoQ, I think you're kind of maybe missing some guys that give them a chance that otherwise maybe haven't led, that aren't maybe super involved in the community. You just get exposed to more as a site Q, whether that's having to go out and reach out to new people and get them to queue because your queue schedule a little thin, or vice versa, or just getting in that circle of different guys that are site queues, just having to communicate with them because it's part of your job, but also you're opening up new channels and new doors and new learning how to do new things and new ideas. So I just think it helps expand your horizons a little bit. And so I guess I just hope people would have that maybe mentality and try it out if they are approached and somebody thinks somebody believes in you already. That's just somebody running a site thinks you should take it over, and they maybe don't realize till the end of a site like how much it means to you, but like people really care about their site at the beginning, before, for sure after, and they're coming to you towards the end and saying, I think I want you to be like part of this legacy. So I think just like maybe step back and realize, like, I mean, guys think through that, right? When they're like, if they're approaching people, if you haven't reached out. So you just run with it, man. It's I don't know. And then site Q, when you're at a site, like it's just you end up posting consistently more, and you get to witness more things, and there's just all these stupid stories you start getting from being at beatdowns that there's, and then I don't know, you start doing those exchange of posting, then you start queuing other places, and I don't know, some of the most memorable like funny things that have happened in F3 have been probably from like site queue swaps and stuff. I mean, and then just going to those sites more, like first time I was up at Top Rope, I think it was, kind of out of Sarpy. I used to travel more, and I was sitting there working out next to this guy, and he's doing push-ups, and we're doing all these different kind of push-ups, Merkins, but he's only doing one kind of Merkin, and I'm like after the fourth Merkin, I joke with people, right? I'm like, I don't know him. I'm like, hey man, you don't know how to do the other Merkins? Like you can do the other Merkins. He looks at me like straight face. He goes, are you making fun of my disability?
Oh no!
And it was Doppler. It was Doppler, and it took. And he waited like a minute, and he turns around and he goes, I'm just fucking with you, man. I felt so bad. And then, and then you got guys like Mufasa, who the poor guy from Kansas City comes up here to queue, and he's just laying into the whole time and doesn't know him. It's just all these memories of different things that have happened at things. And as well as your site, we had Truly come down and queue, and he read a Jay-Z rap poem, or rap lyrics as a poem. Yeah. And he was like trying to cry and everything. Well, only like me and maybe one guy out of the 12 or whatever it was that day even know who Truly is. It's great. I would tell every site Q, bring guys from other sectors. Like, we're so big now, it's great. And he reads all this thing through seriously. And I don't know if he was at coffee or not. I don't remember if he had to go. But some guys are like, man, he was really emotional. I go, I think he was just really playing it up, man. But like, it's great. So like, it's just, it's so many good things like that through being a site Q and just probably posting more and being able to bring different guys down you don't know. You just get exposed to a lot more guys and personalities that maybe you wouldn't have got to meet.
Heck yeah. I love it. Well, it's been so cool to just hear your story and really this message of like embracing the fun, right? And as adversity comes, I love, and hopefully guys caught it, but when I asked you what advice you had for guys that were trying to figure it out, and your response was, you don't have to figure it out. And I love that, because I think a lot of times that's probably the right answer, right? Is quit trying so hard to control it or to like, figure it out, right? Just, be a little more, go with the flow and open to, however it works out. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of, I don't know if you can, I can't think of one time. I mean, it's got to be very few where you were just like, well, that was the worst F3 morning ever. Like, I can't think of that, like, coming in my, even if the beatdown wasn't a crazy hard workout and I needed that day, I'll go do something else. But then I had great, like, comms with some guys afterwards. Or, I mean, I've gotten into, like, doing birthday cakes or celebration cakes down here. Like, at the farm, we did a few, like, for the Marine's birthday. I think Knobs was cute, and this cake lady put a bunch of edible crayons on the cake, and he was sitting there eating them in a picture. Like, just, have fun with it. Embrace it. You don't have to figure it out. Like, if you screw up the 5 Fs, I mean, I was queuing at Stormbreaker for I don't know if it was Amadeus or not, but Grease Fire, and I just ran off like, let's go. I forgot the whole beginning of it like 5 months ago. Like I've been in F3 for 2 years, so like it happens. Like don't stress about it. It's supposed to be to be fun. So I really hope guys realize that like please have fun in F3. So.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate the time, man. And just thanks for being vulnerable and willing to share your story. It's been great to hear. And I know other guys will identify with it as well. So I appreciate it.
Heck
Let's,
yeah,
we'll do a little name-orama here to wrap it up. Brandon Fleehardy, 38, The Plague.
Plague. Greg Shart, 41.
Ew. And when did you start doing that? How long did it take before you started with that?
I think it's had 2 iterations, but like the deep, middle of the butthole thing, like that's been the mainstay. I forget how it kind of started. I think maybe we were just like doing an ooh thing with the hand. I really don't remember. I think it might have been like somebody's like, you should grab your butt or something. I'm like, I should wipe my butt, like let's really go full send on this name thing. Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Again,
have fun with it.
It's really fun in other regions when I do it. Like sometimes they don't catch it and they're like, what was that at coffee? And I'm like, oh, it's Skidz, Skid Mark. So.
Yeah, I think there's some other regions taking themselves way too seriously out there for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the time today. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.